out there early this morning, but this afternoon gets much nicer. A high of 74 and clouds finally break for some peaks of sun. Shouldn't be any problem for the Phil's double headers today. 62 degrees for the overnight low with some showers around overnight, especially south of the city and into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, much of the daytime hours are dry, but then in the evening and nighttime, we get a period of heavy rain. The high is 77.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's. Big news, bacon lovers. Wendy's Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. For just $3, you get crispy, crunchy apple smoked bacon, 2 juicy beef patties, and plenty of cheese on a burger. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
Wondering what a personal message with your credit card number has in common with way too many pictures of your dog? Well, they're both private. Because on WhatsApp, your personal messages are yours. No one else can see or hear them, not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, the Gambler.
Down the lane, floats a runner, counts it, it goes, and it goes! Gilgeous Alexander weaving through a minefield of Minnesota defenders. It didn't matter. He gets to the stripe for the 4th time in Game 5. 33 points in 33 minutes. 124-94 the final, a 30-point rout. Not a single day went by this season that Oklahoma City did not hold the best record in the West. And now this historic, relentless thunderstorm has unstoppably, emphatically, and officially earned the moniker best in the West. MVP, SGA, and company say we will OKC you in the NBA Finals, baby. Blowing the Wolves out of the building, 124-94 in Game 5.
They're high-character people. They come from high-character circles. They're unbelievably competitive. They put the work in behind it consistently through the ups and downs. And most of all, they're team first. And I said that on the court, but they embody everything it means to be a team.
The winner of the Magic Johnson Trophy for the 2025 Western Conference Finals Most Valuable Player is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
And there it is. And if you listen to some people out there already getting their opinions off on a series that has yet to be played, a matter of fact, we don't even know who will be representing the East at this point in time.
Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So you're one of them.
I'm one of them.
You're one of them.
Hand them the
just give them the trophy
right now.
So that's it. Oklahoma City are your 2024-25 NBA champions. That's it.
That's it. It's over. Why even play the finals?
All right. Well, so I'm not going to argue that point. And a good afternoon, everybody. That's Sam Oshtry from the Score Up Shop Races, the Thursday edition of the Daily Ticket. A lot going on in the Philadelphia sports world. A lot going on with sports in general. Of course, as you just heard, OKC, a rout, simply put, and just a dominating game at home, and they handled business, and now they are heading to the NBA Finals. And yes, having some fun with it. I'm not going to sit here and say that OKC won't win the NBA championship. But what I will say is there's got to be something out there that we can cash in on from the Pacers' perspective, from the series, whether it's a series spread. Are we talking about a sweep, Sam? Are you going to sit here and tell me they're going to sweep the Pacers?
I would say that it's 5 maximum. Wow. So the bet would be 4 or 5 on the Thunder.
5 max.
5 max. That's what we saw last 2 finals, too. Going back to Heat Nuggets a couple years ago, that was 5. And then you saw Celtics Mavs last year, that was 5. So great playoffs last 2 years, but they a lot of times result in uncompetitive finals. And I think that's what we're headed for this year, too.
And it's crazy because you look at last year and the Boston Celtics, they were a damn good team. The Dallas Mavericks and Celtics series, I think the Celtics were minus 220 to win it.
Yeah.
Do you know what the number is? And we don't know who they're playing, but let's just say for S and giggles here that this will be the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Indiana Pacers. They're minus 800.
Yeah. And ironically, they would actually have worse odds against the Knicks. They'd be not minus 700 against the Knicks.
Stupid.
Yeah, it's an absurd price. And it's an absurd price, but it's honestly a fair and reasonable price.
Is it?
They have no chance, either of those two teams, the Knicks or the Pacers, of being a Thunder team, bearing catastrophic injury. And Honestly, it would only have to be to Shea. If someone else gets injured, I still think the Thunder would win on that roster. So, yeah, it's a fair price because the Thunder are your 2024-25 NBA champions.
What's the big matchup that they're going to exploit? Or is it just simply that this Oklahoma City team is going to suffocate them on defense? And it doesn't matter about the offensive firepower that the Pacers have possessed. It doesn't matter about the three-point shooting. And yes, they haven't been the best, if I'm not mistaken. I know they only made 5 in the loss against the Knicks in game 3 or 4, whatever it was. But they move the ball well. Carlisle's coaching his ass off. Halliburton's playing at a superstar level. Siakam is a difference maker. Like, what is the main reason in your mind why it's so lopsided when it comes to the spread?
It's defense. And this Thunder's defense is not just the best defense in the year this season. Historically, it's one of the best defenses in NBA history. So this Pacers offense has been great, sure. Tyrese Halliburton's been awesome. But Tyrese Halliburton hasn't faced any defenders that the Thunder will be able to throw at them. And it's not going to be one guy. It's not going to be two guys. It'll be Lou Dort. It'll be Cason Wallace. Aaron Wiggins will have some turns. Jalen Williams will have some turns. Alex Caruso will have some turns. Tyrese Halliburton hasn't faced the type of defenders that the Thunder are going to throw at him. And what he has faced is they've been able to exploit a lot of mismatches, especially this Knicks series, where they're trying to get Jalen Brunson switched onto Tyrese Halliburton. There's nobody on that Thunder team that you can switch onto Tyrese Halliburton who the Thunder won't feel confident in. And what the Pacers offense does so well is they play fast-paced and move the ball exceptionally well. They run a ton of actions in one possession where defenses get really confused and jumbled, and it's hard to communicate. What the Thunder's defensive strength is they defend and rotate and recover better than anyone I've seen in years. So all those different actions, the Thunder will have answers for, and there's just no way that this suffocating Thunder defense won't succeed and have success against this Pacers offense. And I don't see any way where the Pacers can win more than 2 games maximum. But I'd probably say it's going to be 5.
I believe, and I don't really try to plug Doug Gottlieb. Matter of fact, he's on at this time, so whatever. If he's not coaching. University of Milwaukee,
Green Bay, baby.
I think he said something along the lines. I saw it on my timeline that this will be one of the worst NBA champions, regardless who wins, in the last 40 years.
That's ridiculous,
right?
I mean, that's ridiculous. They have the MVP of the league. I get it, and the Thunder are going to get hate, and that's why the people have been disrespecting the Thunder all year. And there's been so many skeptics. It's because they're the youngest team in the league. You never ever see the youngest team in the league win an NBA championship. Most teams who do that, they go through a ton of playoff scars. They're an experienced group, and then they overcome all those years of playoff exits to win a championship. The Thunder, this group just made the playoffs for the first time last year, and then they lost in the second round, and now they're going to climb the mountaintop in year 2. It's unprecedented. It's unheard of. So I get the skepticism and the doubt that they're going to continue to get even as NBA champions, but they handled everybody. Like, they handled everybody they possibly could have en route to this championship, and they have the MVP of the league. They might have a young roster, but they have a roster that grew up and was ready for the moment. So they don't deserve all the credit in the world. This is a legitimate championship group.
All right, so it's Dan Byer is so I'm clicking on it right now, and it was the headline that says Doug Gottlieb says this could be the worst NBA champion in 40 years. It wasn't him. It was Dan Byers on the show. And he said, I think, quote, Dan Byers said, I think whoever wins the NBA title will probably be the worst champion we've seen in the last 40 years. Doug Gottlieb said, quote, there's a world where these guys get to 30 years old and they have multiple titles. SGA gets to 30, he's got multiple titles, multiple MVPs. And we're like, wow, that was an incredible team. All right. So Gottlieb at least was correct with his take.
Yeah. I mean,
Dan Byer might have been stirring it up just to get some conversation.
I mean, let's just look at the numbers. The Thunder have a net rating of 12.8 per 100 possessions. That is the second best net rating in NBA history, only second to the Chicago Bulls in 1995-96, who had a net rating of 13.4. This is an all-time historically great team based on the statistics. And yeah, they might not have any real Hall of Famers on the team just yet because these guys are all so young and have a long way to go to achieve Hall of Fame status. So people don't want to crown them like some of these past champions. But based on all the statistics, based on everything they've accomplished, 68 regular season wins, this is a historically great team. They deserve all the praise that any other NBA champion would get.
Well, It's a
But
shame.
they're not even NBA champions yet.
No, they're not. They're not. And that's like so disrespectful to the Pacers, who have been playing their asses off in this playoff run. But when it comes down to this game is just truly matchup based, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a really tough game because Oklahoma City, tough series. OKC, that defense is phenomenal. It's suffocating. They're all over you. I saw Legler with a great breakdown on ESPN yesterday or 2 days ago, because yesterday was just about celebration. But OKC is the real deal. SGA is about as calm as it gets. And let me ask you this too as well. It feels like they are okay settling with the mid-range jumper. And I thought that was non-existent. But now, is it just an OKC base play and it's okay for them to do it because they have an embarrassment of riches? But, and everybody else shoots 3-pointers out, left and right.
Yeah.
But it feels like SGA is okay with settling with that mid-range jumper, pulling up and hitting it.
I think your best player sets the tempo and sets your shot profile for you. And SGA has such a lethal mid-range game and he's a good 3-point shooter. He's not a great 3-point shooter. He's definitely improved over the last couple of years. He's a great finisher around the rim. He's a legitimate 3-level scorer. And then we're going to talk about Anthony Edwards later on. But a guy like Anthony Edwards could learn something from Shea and develop a mid-range, because Shea shoots around 50% from the mid-range. And when you have that element to the game where it's, you don't want most of your shots to be contested twos. That's not analytically sound or smart. Mm-hmm. But when you have such a great mid-range shooter that Shea is, allow him to get to those spots, because the defense is either going to blitz him way past the 3-point line, or you see a lot of times they're crowding him at the rim. If he can get to those 16, 17, 18-footer ranges and drill those shots with consistency like he has, he's really hard to guard, and thus this entire Thunder offense is really hard to guard. And Thunder offense deserves credit. Obviously, their defense is the talking point because they're historically great. But the Thunder offense has been really good too, and they do adopt the mid-range because their best player likes to operate in the mid-range.
Well, I'm excited about the matchup. I really am. I think it's going to be a good series. Do you think that this is going to be blowouts?
I think there could be a few blowouts for sure. I would say last year the Celtics and the Pacers played in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Celtics swept them. But every single game was really competitive.
Yeah.
I could see it being similar to that, where maybe a couple blowouts here and there, mostly competitive games, but the Thunder have figured something out in the clutch. And it's not really their offense again, it's their defense. Their defense has been incredibly clutch in these fourth quarters. And late in games, of course, we know the Pacers' resiliency. We know how clutch they've been with some magical, improbable wins. But I think that magic runs out against a Thunder team that is just remarkably better.
Yeah.
Just remarkably better.
Oh, by the way, they've already beaten both the Pacers and the Knicks 2 times apiece, 4-0 versus both of those teams in the regular season. The opening spread, game 1. There's no Knicks and Oklahoma City spread. It's just Pacers and
that's what happens when you're up 3-1.
Yeah. 9 points for game 1.
Wow. And it's probably reasonable. Right? Like, I think you said that yesterday. What would it be? 8 or 9? And we said that would be reasonable, because this Thunder team is that much better, and they're going to suffocate the Pacers. They have such aggressive ball pressure that's going to make Tyrese Halliburton's job difficult in a way that Tyrese Halliburton's just snaked through the lane these last 3 series. He's not going to have that luxury of doing that against the aggressive ball pressure of the Thunder. The Thunder force more turnovers than any other team, and they never turn the ball over themselves. So they just dominate the possession battle, and that's what makes them so great, and that's why they are where they are. So I could say that's a reasonable line to me. I think most of these lines are going to be, especially when the Thunder at home, pretty large spreads.
Yeah, we got Julian Edlow from DraftKings Sportsbook. He's going to join us at 3:30. We'll talk a little bit more on how we can get involved with this series, albeit not everything up at your disposal right now from DraftKings perspective, because they're not in it. We don't have the NBA Finals just yet. We do have a game tonight. We'll talk more about that one. But you're right about the defense. And in game 1 or first quarter last night, 9 points at halftime. Oklahoma City had more steals than field goals made for the Timberwolves. So, one more on OKC, because we'll have all next week and then some to talk about them, maybe even longer. Are we looking at a team that we should start talking about as far as like predicting more championships, like Doug Gottlieb said? Are we getting a little ahead of ourselves from the dynasty perspective? I thought the Boston Celtics were going to win it all this year. They didn't even get to the NBA Finals.
Well, look, things happen in the NBA.
Yes.
Injuries happen.
Yes.
But what I will say is the Thunder are more set up for long-term success than any other previous champion. What we've seen over the last 7-8 years, really since the Warriors dynasty ended in that 2018, once KD, the end of the KD era with the Warriors, what we've seen in the NBA is there aren't any repeat champions. Not just repeat champions, the last 7 champions have been unique champions. So what you're seeing now, I think the Thunder are the team to buck that trend. They are the most set up to buck that trend, not just because of their youth, but because of their payroll, where they're not really close to that first or second apron. And look, Jalen Williams is due for an extension. Chet Holmgren is due for an extension. Both those guys are going to get well-deserved extensions this summer and get paid. But they still have a ton of draft assets, which people forget. They have a ton of draft assets. They are so deep where it's like if they want to get rid of a Lou Dort, if they want to get rid of an Aaron Wiggins, they can recycle guys in because they're so good at acquiring talent, whether it's through the draft, whether it's a 1-for-1 deal where they gave up Josh Giddey and got Alex Caruso, which was the biggest steal maybe of the entire offseason cycle. Whatever it is, the Thunder are great at acquiring talent, and they're set up to play within the new apron rules. So this isn't a team that's going to have to break up anytime soon. Their core will be there. They're going to have the ability to add around the margins, build depth, which has been their strength all year. So this is a team that will be winning multiple championships. They are set up to win in the newfound apron era of the NBA. And that's why this team, they might not win next year because it's really hard to repeat, but this team will have multiple championships by the time 2030 rolls around.
Good answer there. Now, Sam Presti, of course, has been there forever and has made a ton of trades, has had a lot of capital to work with.
Yeah.
As you just pointed out, has set them up for a lot of success at this point in time. And it's going to be fun to revisit some of those old teams, whether we go back to 2012, the only other time OKC was in the NBA Finals. I thought that I was in a rabbit hole on YouTube and just laughing about, how young Harden looked and how quick he was. And, of course, Russ. Yeah. Russ jumped off the screen. And Kevin Durant, he's always been skinny, but still. And then when they lost, there they were in the corner with their arms around each other, which was an image that we all have burned into our head. It's pretty cool.
In fact, they never won a championship together.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But Sam Presti, right? Like they were asking the question on ESPN this morning, would you rather have Cooper Flagg or Sam Presti?
I mean, Cooper Flagg, come on.
Yeah?
Come on.
Because they all said Sam Presti.
They really, come on.
I mean, look, said the GM.
Talents like Cooper Flagg don't come around easy. Talents like Cooper Flagg do not come around often. You would rather always have a potentially Hall of Fame talent than a GM. You can figure out the rest later if you have a decent GM, and we don't want a disastrous one. And Sam Presti's been awesome. He's the best GM in the league. He's been there since, I believe, 2007 or so.
Yeah. This
will be his first NBA championship. If you have one of the best players in the league, you have a better chance of winning an NBA championship. So I love Sam Presti. He's done a terrific job. It's a ridiculous question. Acquiring a talent like Cooper Flagg is not easy. And you can do it through the draft if you get really lucky, like the Mavs, when you have improbable odds of winning the lottery, and you do. You can get GMs all the time because those guys aren't actually on the court producing.
Sure.
So I'm going Cooper Flagg, a talent like him, 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit of a stretch to it.
That was like a few years ago. It was always like, would you trade this guy for Brad Stevens?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Brad Stevens is great, but like it's so hard to acquire next level NBA talent. And the coaches and GMs in the world, those guys are great too, but those guys are easily replaceable.
I agree with that. And we'll see what Cooper Flagg turns into, but Sam Presti's great, but give me the players that actually make the plays on the floor. All right, from OKC, like I said, we'll have a ton of time to talk about.
While we're talking about Sam Presti real quick,
yeah,
can we just acknowledge the fact that assuming it's Pacers Thunder,
okay,
both these teams will have made finals appearances in the wake of Paul George
trading Paul George.
Getting rid and moving on from Paul George is what led both these teams to a 2025 NBA Finals appearance.
Man, should have kept the bias. All right, I love it. Yeah.
Well, so when the Sixers get rid of him eventually, they'll be set up.
One can only hope. One can definitely only hope on that one. All right, over to the Minnesota Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards, essentially, because he's the lightning rod here. 23 years old. We were talking earlier today because I was surprised to see how well he shoots the three-pointer. My goodness. Oh, yeah, that's Schwarber.
Schwarbs.
Yeah, Schwarber with a upper decker just crushed live here obviously, don't touch that dial. Let's keep it locked right here to us. And again, we'll keep you updated 4 to 2. A little empty ball yard down there at 1 o'clock. I thought a lot more people would be. It's pretty full down and low.
A little overcast day.
Yeah, a little overcast day. I thought we'd see a heck of a lot more people in the seats. Man, he crushed this ball. Now, have you been watching this game?
Only since I walked in the studio.
The Braves center fielder made an crazy. He robbed the home run off of Max Kepler. It was just an incredible. Did that kid catch it? He caught it.
He did
with
his
Braves.
mitt.
It was a Braves kid. Yeah, that's cool though. That's a pretty cool story there. All right, so putting the Phillies to the side, we'll keep you up to date. They're playing too today. A lot to discuss as far as Major League Baseball is concerned. But Anthony Edwards, though, he's 23 years old. I was surprised to see how well he shot the three-pointer. He made the most three-pointers this season in the league. Now, he was only behind Steph Curry. He shot, I believe, a little over 10 per game. Just a tick under 40%, which is great in your words, right? Great.
Yeah, it is.
3-point percentage, correct. So I'm like, I know that there were a lot of people out there that were trying to crown Anthony Edwards as the face and the guy that's going to take the baton. I still believe it. I still believe he will. And I don't think anybody should doubt that. This dude is incredible. He's made back-to-back Western Conference final appearances. He's 23 years old. His stats back it up. Granted, Minnesota, they're not used to winning, and they could screw some things up from a franchise perspective, no doubt about it, because you do need a great team. But when you're talking about Anthony Edwards, man, I don't know why people would be doubting him at all, because this dude is a superstar. Now, with that being said, people were upset with some of the things he had to say, as usual. He's very cavalier with his comments. He's very low-key, relaxed, confident. At the same time, some people might say arrogant, whatever. He's 23. He's got the world by the you-know-what. Anyways, last night, he was asked whether or not this hurts. And then he had a pretty good answer here. Listen to this.
It's exciting. I don't know why people would think it would hurt. I mean, it's exciting for me. I'm 23. I get to do it a whole bunch of times. I'm hurt more so for myself, for Mike. I came up short for Mike. Like I said, we tried last year. We couldn't get it. We tried again this year. We're going to try again next year. But hurting is a terrible word to use. I'm good.
He's good. Do you have any issues with what he just said there?
Not at all. That's Ant being Ant.
Ant's being Ant.
And when people remember coming out of the draft, this is a guy that there were question marks because he went number 1 overall. But he said he didn't really love basketball that much and didn't love watching basketball that much, and kind of hinted at the fact that baseball was his favorite sport over basketball. And people questioned how much he loved the game, his work ethic, and all that. None of that has been an issue. So Ant just speaks sometimes, and Ant just says Ant things. But no, I don't really have a problem with it. I agree with him. He there's no reason to be hurt. He's 23 years old. He's been to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. Like, that's impressive. With two not completely different teams, but pretty different teams, where this team had to work how to figure out how to incorporate different parts when they got Rudy Gobert and then pair him with Karl-Anthony Towns. And of course, Karl-Anthony Towns was shipped out, figure out the Julius Randle equation and the spacing with him. Anthony Edwards has elevated his game year after year after year. And he had his best season of his career this past season because of the three ball, because of how much he developed his three-pointer. And yes, his drives were down, but that's because he adapted with the game where he developed a great three-point shot. He shot almost 40% from three this year on around 10 three-point attempts per game, which is incredibly impressive. And the most impressive leap in his game was he did it off the bounce. Like, his three-pointer off the bounce elevated to a way we haven't seen in his 5 years in the league. So I was really impressed with Ant. Every single year he's continued to elevate his game. He became a better playmaker, better decision maker. His turnovers have been down last couple of years compared to earlier in his career. He's continued to improve. And at 23 years old, soon to be 24, I have no doubt he's just hitting his stride. He's still a few years away from his prime. And he's already been to two Western Conference Finals. Yeah, I was reading an article earlier today where they were talking about how he was exposed in this series. No, it's ridiculous. Exposed for what? What were they saying? Exposed for what? Well, they broke down and they said he was too predictable with his moves on the court, making him an easy cover for OKC. Edwards attempted only 32% of his shots within 10 feet of the basket, meaning he couldn't handle the physicality of OKC's swarming defense. Again, I want to give all the credit in the world to OKC, but that's their words, and he was exposed in this series. This is uniquely great defensive team with Oklahoma City Thunder, as we just explained. So what they were doing, they were crowding his drive. So yes, most of his shots didn't come from 10 feet and in around the rim because they were crowding his drives. But he constantly made the right play. Like the days of you have the best player in a series or the best player is always going to win a series and carry to a team to a championship are over. You need great teammates. Depth matters more than ever in the NBA. Guys 3 through 4 through 5, the other starters, the role players, that matters more than ever to winning an NBA championship with what you're seeing when the Thunder and the Pacers are about to face off. Those teams are really deep. Anthony Edwards can do everything. His teammates have to step up and hit shots. He made the right play after right play, especially last night even, which was a blowout. It's hard to even look at that game, but I thought he made a ton of right reads to Dante DiVincenzo, made the right passes or at least hockey assists that got to Jaden McDaniels, and those guys weren't making shots. He made the right plays. So I don't buy that at all, that he wasn't driving the ball enough, that he wasn't doing enough and he got exposed all. The one thing I will say is, he should develop a better mid-range shot. I think last time I checked, he was shooting a little under 40% from the mid-range this season. That's not good enough. Like if he can develop a mid-range shot, a reliable mid-range shot, where he can get to his spots before the defense and the crowds come and maybe hit some long twos, his game will go to a whole nother level and he'll become a legitimate 3-level scorer, kind of what you see with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But that's the next evolution to a guy who's 23 years old.
Yeah.
I have no worries about Anthony Edwards at all. He did not get exposed even a little bit this series.
I agree with that. Here's more from Ann after the game.
They came ready to play. We didn't. When you lose a game like this, it's not really too much to break down. They just did what they were supposed to do and won the game. They dominated the game from the tip. Can't do nothing but tip my hat to those guys. They came ready, man. So good job by them.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly as soon as the game got started, and that first quarter told you everything you need to know with them only scoring 9 points in an NBA playoff game. Do or die. All right. Speaking of do or die, we have a game tonight.
We do.
Game being played at the Garden where the Knicks were 5-point favorites. It's now bet down to 4 on DraftKings Sportsbook, 223.5. A few ticks up there from the previous few games there as the Braves just went yard. So 4-3. The ball flying down there at Citizens Bank Park today, 4-3 in the 8th. We'll keep you up to date on everything from the Phillies perspective. But staying in the world of the NBA, Julian Edlow from DraftKings Sportsbook, he's going to join us on the other side. Sam, I'm going to ask you this question so you can answer it first. The New York Knicks extend this series and win the game tonight if what happens?
They have to limit the turnovers.
You
can't have 17 turnovers like they had last game. They're averaging 15 on the series. You turn the ball over to a team that already wants to get out and run, and you're giving them easy baskets. This team is really hard to defend as is. The Knicks are struggling to defend the Pacers as is. If you're giving them easy baskets and giving them an advantage when you're turning the ball over and they're already down the court, it's going to be really hard to win this game. So they got to limit the turnovers, and that's going to be a key for this one.
Are you sure, though? Because they're playing at home, and I know when you play in front of Tracy Morgan and Ben Stiller and Timothy Chalamet and all these other superstars, like it's tough to win at the Garden, according to Boomer Esiason and Spike Lee. Oh, I can't play in front of these guys. It's like ridiculous. I thought that's kind of like the lure of the Garden. I don't
think Jalen Brunson for a second cares who's courtside, whether it's Pat McAfee doing his thing on the mic or it's Spike Lee. He doesn't care for a second who's courtside.
Out of line by McAfee during that?
No, I liked it. It wasn't during the broadcasts. It was like in between timeouts.
Yeah.
And so I liked it. I think Ben Stiller had fun with it. He's had Timothy on the show. Timothy was on game day. I think it was inbounds. When you come to the opposing arena, it's all fun and games.
Well, that's what Stiller said. He said, why don't you come to New York?
Yeah, McAfee would never.
He should.
He would never.
He should fly front row.
He doesn't even watch basketball, let's be honest. He only watches when the Pacers are in.
Yeah, Pacers.
Yeah.
He's a Pacers
guy.
Indiana
guy.
Yeah, he's an Indiana guy. All right. We got a lot to discuss. As I said, a ton going on. We'll stay in the NBA with Julian. We will talk about how we can get involved with this series. Once again, DraftKings Sportsbook showing the number, and I've seen other books that have a higher number, as a matter of fact. With Oklahoma City, they are minus 800 favorites against the Pacers, if that's the way it will be. Plus 550 for Indiana if you're feeling good about that one. But we got a series spread to discuss. We'll get into all those numbers with Julian Edlow and find out how he is wagering on tonight's game in New York City at the Garden, and of course the NBA Finals and more. And we might even tip our put our toe into the NFL waters with Julian, because we are 98 days away from kickoff between the Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. They got the
Countdown.
party started. Yeah, 98 days, ladies and gentlemen. Football season is on its way. All right, so we got a big one, though, in the NBA. We'll stay with that. Don't go anywhere. More Daily Takeover after this.
The NBA playoffs are here, and nobody has you covered like the Gambler Gang. We don't just watch the playoffs. We bet the hell out of them.
Oh, my God.
The city.
Las Vegas.
Vegas, make some noise.
The event.
Our legendary iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Presented by Capital One.
Live. Welcome. One stage.
2 nights. The biggest stars in music return this September.
To make history.
The world's biggest artists are taking this stage.
Stream live only on Hulu.
I said, woo!
Listen right here as the star-studded lineup is revealed.
Tuesday morning
At 8.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
We're down at the Schuylkill westbound Bear to the Pine Expressway and Boulevard to Belmont. Eastbound, stop and go Montgomery Drive to South. Pine Expressway westbound backed up 95 to the Schuylkill. Eastbound tied up Schuylkill to Broad. 95 northbound Jan Allegheny to Bridge and Cotman to Woodhaven. All right, to tell it total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Erie Insurance.
Racking up 100 years of service and paving the way for millions of miles of open road. Then, now, always, Erie Insurance.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
You want to see basketball played the way it's supposed to be? Well, check out Ice Cube's Big Three all summer long. Fast, physical, and fun. Catch the best professional 3-on-3 players in the world live every weekend on CBS and Vice.
Rita's is making waves with new Kool-Aid Sharkleberry Fin Ice.
Oh, yeah!
With a fun mix of tropical fruit flavor in every bite, it's the must-try treat of the summer. Don't wait. Try Kool-Aid Sharkleberry Fin Ice at Rita's today.
Be cool, Rita's. The riveting podcast, What Happened to Talina Czar, unravels the chilling mystery surrounding a woman's disappearance during the COVID-19 lockdown, the internet sleuths who wouldn't let it go, and the dark subcultures and betrayals they unearthed.
There were a lot of secrets that were very hard to find.
Listen to What Happened to Talina Czar on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Follow What Happened to Talina Czar and start listening on the free iHeartRadio app today.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Grab your shades, your flip-flops, and your free iHeartRadio app for the start of summer 2025. No matter where you go this summer, your favorite radio station, the music you love, and the best podcasts in the world will be along for the adventure. Make sure you have the free iHeartRadio app in your phone today.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Looking for sun protection that actually works and feels great? Wear SPF by PGA Pro Justin Thomas has you covered, both on and off the course. Dermatologist tested and sweat resistant, it's broad spectrum SPF that won't mess up your swing or your skin. From the first tee to everyday life, Wear SPF is a high-performance skincare collection that helps you protect yourself like the pros. It's par for the course. Shop now at wearspf.com and stay sun safe all year long. That's wearspf.com.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com. Hey now. Now, I was going to come back with a quick little highlight before Julian joins us, Sam, but I did not know about this tweet, and somebody did send it to me. But apparently John Mellencamp, who was born in a small town, had an issue with what McAfee did during the game and tweeted, as if I could just pull it damn up, about Hoosier hospitality. Johnny Cougar, what's going on with this? The Knicks-Pacers game have been entertaining for anyone who likes basketball or sports. I attended Game 4 in Indy. Hoosier hospitality. I was embarrassed when somebody under whose direction, I don't know, called out some of the people who had made the trip from New York to support their team and in turn support our team. The audience booed. He used this terrible picture. I can't read it. The audience booed people. I say that was not Hoosier hospitality. One could only say it's a poor sportsmanship. I was not proud to be a Hoosier, and I have lived here my entire life. Wow. We got Hoosier versus Hoosier crime. John Cougar Mellencamp versus Pat McAfee.
I actually don't know who John Cougar Mellencamp is, but I
You
just
don't know who
looked
John
him up.
Mellencamp is?
I just looked him up.
my-
Looks like a good, looks like a pretty famous singer. I was gonna say he's probably in the same camp of people that hated McAfee on game day as well and wanted him to wear suit and tie like everyone else. The same boomers that hate everything McAfee does. So God bless you, John Mellencamp.
Oh, I'm getting old. Julian Edlow joining us now for DraftKings Sportsbook, and it's great to reunite with Julian. Of course, NBA Finals next week. We got ourselves a big one tonight. A lot to discuss. Julian, how you been? How's everything going in your world, sir?
Hanging in there. Not the best NBA postseason if you're sitting here in Boston. But from an entertainment standpoint, yeah, we've been getting some pretty good games.
We have been, yeah. So I do want to bring up the Boston Celtic perspective because, of course, we haven't had an opportunity to speak with you. And we were just talking about it from the Oklahoma City viewpoint where everybody is already, crowning them the NBA champions, and I get it. But also I'm hearing the word dynasty being tossed around. And the only thing that goes through my mind is I thought that the Boston Celtics were locked to be in the NBA Finals this year, and that didn't happen. So I am not ready, to crown OKC the champions this year. Hold up. I'm sure that I'm probably will come around on that thought, but sure as hell, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to win multiple championships in a dynasty. So back to Boston. What happened with the Celtics?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can look at it. Like, I could talk about this for a while, so I'll try and give you the bullet points. Number one, it's an inexcusable loss to the Knicks, first and foremost. You can frame it how you want, but that was most likely going to be a 3-1 Knicks lead with Jason Tatum at full health. 3.5 minutes left, 8-point game. Celtics fans will tell you that you can come back. Knicks fans will tell you it was over. Well, both teams have blown 20-point leads all postseason. The Knicks have seen what the Pacers can do. Who knows what happened in that game, but they did play the rest of it without Jason Tatum, and it was 3-1, essentially with Jason Tatum there for its entirety. So backs against the wall. Can you dig out of a 3-1 hole with Tatum? Maybe. They dug out of a 3-1 hole against Miami and then lost the game 7 in which Tatum rolled his ankle on the first play of the game. So it's disappointing to get in that hole from the beginning. It really just comes down to how they played in games 1 and 2. They blew the 2 20-point leads to lose 2 home games. And if you don't do that, you've got a game 7, even without Jason Tatum on your home floor, if you win one of those games. So, shocking outcome. Like, I didn't think the way that the Knicks play, the way that the Knicks matched up, that they were capable of beating the Celtics 4 times. Now, you can come up with excuses. The Tatum one is a pretty good one in my mind. Like, that holds a little bit of weight. Brown was playing on a partially torn MCL. He had a 36-10 game against the Magic. I'm not going to use that as an excuse. Whatever was going on with Porzingis, this undisclosed illness, that hurts. But they went 16-3 in the postseason last year with Porzingis playing in 5 games. So I'm not going to use that as an excuse. It really just comes down to the Tatum injury. It comes down to the way that they playing the same way when you're up 20 and continuously shooting the threes, rather than playing with maybe a little more balance, like we're watching the Pacers currently do, hurt that team. And now it's going to become, if this team went back to back, there was still going to be a decent chance that you got to trade a Porzingis, trade a Holiday, maybe both. But you got to put pressure on them to do that by winning 2 in a row and say, hey, let's try and run this back in three-peat. Instead, you bow out the earliest you have since 2021. And now, it gives that excuse. It gives ownership and Brad Stevens a chance to say, all right, well, now we have to shake it up. And this team is going to look very different next year and kind of build towards October of 2026 when Jason Tatum would presumably be 100% healthy. So just to tie this into OKC real quick, if you ask me at halftime of game 4 of Celtics-Knicks, when the Celtics were up 14 or whatever, that series was about to be 2-2. The Celtics were going to win it in 6 or 7 games, and they were going to go on to the NBA Finals. And I would have told you, if I'm not being biased, I would have told you OKC in that series. But everything was fine, and then Tatum hurts his Achilles, and now this team is completely derailed. So with OKC, it is looking great. They are younger. They have more assets than the Celtics. But that Tatum injury showed us just how quickly everything can change for a franchise that is just aligned to become a quote-unquote dynasty.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well said. I totally agree with you on that one. And nobody wants to see anybody get hurt, but Tatum was he was an Iron Man. He wasn't a guy that got hurt, if I'm not mistaken. So anything is possible. Anything can happen. We shall see. But they got to win one before we start talking about a dynasty. So we will talk about the series price and how exactly we can wager from an OKC perspective next week, June 5th, when that bad boy gets started. But we do have a pretty good game tonight, and we are talking about the Knicks here, who did take down the Celtics. But I don't know if they're going to have any potion left in that bottle, but I'm curious to know where you stand on tonight's game, Julian. Do you think this series heads back to Indianapolis for a game 6? Right now, DraftKings Sportsbook, a 4-point spread. Knicks are favored. No surprise there. Hell, they are actually a favorite, more of a favorite than the Pacers are against Oklahoma City in the NBA Finals, which is just ridiculous. So the odds makers value the Knicks just a little bit more than the Pacers. I understand it. But where do you stand on tonight's game 5 at the Garden, Julian? Do you think this heads back to Indy?
Yeah, I'm surprised that from a power rating standpoint, New York is still above Indy. That one doesn't make sense to me anymore. Those were close teams coming in, and I think we've kind of seen who the better team is so far. Now, desperation spot for the Knicks. I don't know if the Knicks have quite had a magic potion, quote unquote, as it is, like just keeping to the grindstone. Like, their comebacks have been unexpected. They've been large live underdogs, but they've done it with time. Like, it takes the Knicks time to grind back. These were like 20-point mid third quarter leads, and they grind these comebacks out over time. The Pacers have the magic potion. They can erase nine points in 50 seconds, whatever it is at the end of these games, and come up with wins that are like statistically impossible. If you look back at these recent numbers, they have like 3 of the 4 wins out of close to 2,000 games of a team being down 7 or more points in the final minute of a playoff game. Like, impossible. I think the Pacers are clearly the better team. The one thing that I've been doing right this postseason is continuously backing the Pacers on series lines, game 1 and series results. In game, they're 6-1, their last 7 as an underdog. Straight up and against the spread, they're covering by a wide margin. Like, they win all these games, and those are road games. Sorry, 6-1 as road underdogs. So like they're in the spot where they've been succeeding every time tonight. So I've just kind of continuously been going with the Pacers. That's what I would do tonight. Although the desperation spot for the Knicks to stay alive, force a game 6 kind of scares me off of it a little bit more than some of the other games.
I asked Sam earlier today, or before you hopped on, as far as earlier in the show, and I said the Knicks win if this happens, and he said they don't turn the ball over. Is it as easy? Is it black and white for you as well? If they limit the turnovers, they will find a way to win tonight's game?
Yeah, it's a little bit similar to the Minnesota OKC series in that sense of I think OKC was clearly the much better team there. I think Indy is just a better team in this series. And when the Knicks and the Timberwolves start adding turnovers to that, it lets the Pacers and OKC kind of run up the score and come out of there with those victories. So turnovers are going to be huge. But I would also just add defense. Like when Brunson and Towns are on the floor, Indy runs pretty similar action every time, and they've been extremely successful with it. Thibodeau's been kind of trying to shake up rotations a bit in recent games. But like what sparked that game 3 comeback when they're down 10 coming into the fourth quarter? Yeah, partially Karl-Anthony Towns going nuts, but their defense down the stretch was phenomenal. The Knicks, I mean. So if they can kind of recapture whatever they were doing in the fourth quarter of that game, not even offensively, just how they were defending the Pacers, that's what I think will give them the best chance to get another game here.
Julian, on that note with the defense, like it's become increasingly clear that Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns are, of course, the offensive engines of this team. But those two guys on the floor defensively together aren't working. So when you're looking at their props, like you're not going to, I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns is going to play, but he's going to be a little hobbled probably with a knee contusion. But when you're looking at those two guys' props, is there anything where you're targeting like the unders on those guys just because of the fact that maybe their minutes will be slightly limited just in terms of on the floor together? Because you can't get stops when those two guys are on the floor together against this Pacers team. So where are you looking at from a prop perspective on those two guys specifically?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going under on anything Brunson. An elimination game, he's been such an efficient scorer. I know the numbers will say that the Knicks have had a couple of their best quarters of the series when he's off the floor, but you're not even going to be in the game if you don't have Brunson scoring. So I'm not willing to fade him in a back against the wall situation. Towns is interesting because he's had his moments. He's also disappeared at times. I don't necessarily think of him as the most clutch player. Obviously, that would be Brunson with this group. You compound it with now he's a little dinged up. You add that Mitchell Robinson has been a spark for this team at times, and I know some of that has been playing Towns and Robinson together. But of the two, I could see Towns being the one that maybe is off the floor a little bit more in this game if he doesn't have it offensively. So I'm talking myself into this as we go. Maybe a live under on Towns. Like if he doesn't have it early, if he has it early, they got to keep him on the floor for offense. If he doesn't have it early, yes, his prop is going to go down a point or two in game, but that could also lead to him playing like 10 fewer minutes than he normally does.
Yeah.
That's a great point. No, you're right. And definitely watching the live line, I do like that. He's at 21.5 at -115 right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. We're talking to Julian Edlow from DraftKings Sportsbook at this point in time. And staying with that conversation, Julian, I did see this. Mike Greenberg, look, he's on morning television, right? Like he's animated. I get it. He's got about 7 cups of coffee going through the body. He's going to say some things that he doesn't, necessarily mean. But at the end,
that one was scripted. That one was very well scripted.
It was. I think it was a segment. It is what it is. But he said Jalen Brunson has single-handedly dragged a very average team to the Eastern Conference Finals. And his big point was that people are coming at Jalen Brunson a little bit too much for his defensive efficiencies. That's my take on it. Where do you stand on, because I've seen people just say he's completely out of line, saying that the Knicks are an average basketball team. Where do you stand on people targeting Jalen Brunson and saying he's the reason why they're losing this series right now because of the defensive side of the ball? And are the Knicks average in your mind?
I mean, it's like all these hot takes when you try and combat them, like it's a little bit of everything. It's always a little bit of everything. Yeah. Brunson and his offensive output have I don't want to say he hasn't put the Knicks on his back, but like there's no way they get to Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals without the way that Brunson has been scoring the ball. Now, they got away with it against the Celtics because the Celtics made a lot of mistakes and were not themselves in a lot of those games. And now they're not getting away with it against the Pacers because Indy's putting pressure on them in the right ways. And, you know, I attribute a lot of that to coaching. I like what Rick Carlisle has done. I didn't love what Joe Mazzulla was doing, just letting the same thing happen over and over again. You're up 20, just shoot the three rather than put a little bit of pressure on the Knicks defensively. That one game that they did blow open, Game 5, when Brunson got 5 fouls in the third quarter and then fouled out in the fourth quarter, Tatum wasn't even playing. That was the game that they shot less threes, focused on getting to the basket. So I think there is a blueprint there to get Brunson in trouble. The Knicks are an above average basketball team. I'm still stunned at the result that they got when playing the Celtics and did not think that they had that in them. But again, like, you're the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. You're definitely an above average basketball team. I like what Towns has been for them this year. The grit and two-way action of your Josh Hart's, OG, and Bridges, like that's a solid team. So it's an above average team, and depending on how good the other team is and how well coached the other team is, kind of determines what Brunson's value might be in that series.
Yeah, no, you're always right with that. With it, it's always a little bit of everything, and it's so true because he has had his defensive issues out there on the floor, no doubt about it. So something to keep our eyes on again this evening. Game being played at the Garden in front of all those superstars, and if they don't win tonight, Tracy Morgan might throw up again on the floor. You never know. But they're 4-point favorites at home.
It's gonna be another 8 years till Severance comes out if the Knicks don't win tonight.
223.5 is your total in that one. All right, Julian, we already have an NBA Finals matchup, and Sam Oshtry over here, my co-host, has already crowned the Oklahoma City Thunder the champions of the 2024-25 season. And I understand we're talking about a great team, no doubt about it. 9-point favorites in Game 1. We're talking about minus 800 to win the series, to win the championship. If you want to back Oklahoma City, if somebody's listening to you right now and they're like, man, that stinks. I want to find a way to get involved some way in wagering as far as the NBA Finals are concerned. Maybe I don't even need to turn the damn game on. That's not good. We don't want people saying that. So how are you looking at the NBA Finals? And albeit we still got a week away, and DraftKings will be putting up a ton of numbers over these next few days there. You have great props up already on this series, but how are you already visioning as far as your wagering perspective for the NBA Finals that starts next Thursday?
Yeah, I think OKC is going to win the series, but given how it is priced, I anticipate that I will be betting the Pacers in some form or fashion. Now, it won't be the Pacers plus 600 or whatever it is to win the series, because I don't ultimately think they can do that. Now, I mean, this postseason, who would have thought that, Knicks beat the Celtics in 6, Pacers beat the Cavs in 5? Like, there's been some massive upsets, and from a pricing standpoint, Cleveland, it would be a, pretty good dog to OKC, but not that sizable of an underdog. So that Cleveland is kind of the blueprint for Indy here in terms of what they've done in this postseason and how they can translate it. Now, Cleveland lost a lot of steam defensively. I know they have the Defensive Player of the Year, Evan Mobley, on their roster, but they weren't playing team defense at like an elite level when it got to that series. OKC is, and I think that's the difference, and that's why I'm going to pick OKC to win the championship. But can Indy make it a series is the question. Last I looked, I think Indy plus 2.5 games was plus 125 on DK Sportsbook. So can the Pacers win 2 games at plus 125? That is appealing to me. I would even maybe consider waiting. Okay, like the clash here is how good OKC's been at home and how good Indy's been at the road. Indy's 6-1 straight up as a road underdog in this postseason. The Thunder are 8-1 at home, 7-2 against the spread. Their 7 covers have all been 15+ point victories. Like, they've got a 220 something point home point margin in this postseason. So that's kind of going to be the strength on strength that we have to figure out. So maybe the Pacers getting the 9 points in game 1 or 2. But if OKC takes game 1, am I going to be able to get a price on Indy plus 3.5 games just not to get swept that I like? Like, that might also be a wait and see approach that I take. So I'm going to be taking, points and games with the Pacers because I think this number is just so astronomical with how big of a favorite OKC is. I just don't quite know how I'm going to be doing it yet. But yeah, I agree kind of with the majority that look at this number and say like, wow, I think OKC is going to win, but this number is insane.
And if you think that the Thunder or if you think the Pacers can win 2 games, you can also get the Thunder to win 4-2 at plus 425. So if you think the Pacers can win 2 games, that's probably worth the take as opposed to a plus 125. Of course, it couldn't get to 7 games, but if you think the
then you're boxing yourself a little bit. I got some of that mixed up with the Cleveland series where I kind of split my bet up of taking the Pacers plus 2.5 games, which easily cashed with the Pacers winning 4-1. But I also played a little over 5.5 games, thinking that kind of tied in the same way. Well, then Indy comes out and doesn't even let it get there. So you got to be a little careful trying to bet the same thing in a different way. But I do agree in the sense of like, this should be different. I don't think that we're going to see the Pacers ultimately dominate this series.
Well, we can find all of Julian's content about tonight's game and, of course, all of next week's NBA Finals over there at DKNetwork.com. And Julian is on socials as well, Julian Edlow, all one word there. Be sure to follow. Great conversation on everything as far as the NBA is concerned. Football season, we are 98 days away from the Eagles and Cowboys kicking off. College football front and center right now. And then we got some OTAs and some free agent signings that are supposed to be some leaders, and then all of a sudden they're on a boat with Cardi B handing out some pink baggies.
Not even with Cardi B, actually.
He was?
She was on the boat.
She was on the
not
boat.
in the video.
Oh.
She was there. Yeah, she was there with him. She's not happy about the video, though, per sources.
I can only imagine. The video is ridiculous. Everything is ridiculous. I think that's probably dominating the airwaves up there in Boston radio, correct?
Yeah, it's been a pretty big topic. Yeah, looked like he was having quite a time.
Yeah, it looked like there was a good time on that boat. We'll see what happens, though, man. Because you know what? Drake May is a hell of a talent. You get a guy like Diggs in there. I know he got hurt last year, but I thought that was a great signing. Get your head on straight, man. But we'll see what happens with that one. You learn something new every day. I didn't even know what that was, Julian. I had no idea. I had to look up on the Urban Dictionary what Tussie was with a T.
Yeah.
T. All right. So that was a new one to me.
Quite the combo.
That's exactly. Well said. Great stuff as usual, Julian. Always great to connect with you, man. Good luck on all of those plays. And next week we'll be talking about Game 1 NBA Finals, finding out how you're wagering on it all over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Always a pleasure, sir.
Forget basketball season. I'm locking up some college football bets already. Let's relax this summer. I'm excited for college football.
Yeah, break out the magazines. Let's get on a beach. Let's go.
The magazines, they're coming out.
I know.
They're out like this week, next week.
I did see that, as a matter of fact. Yes, perfect. Hell, man, it's June. It's already June. It's here, man. It's football season.
Bill Steele's is already out
next week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's coming. Yeah. It comes out in June.
Yeah.
It's got to be in order for me.
Sometime soon. I don't know. I'm trying to get my hands on that early. We'll see.
All right, man. Great stuff as usual, Julian. We'll catch up next week. Always a pleasure, sir.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
There he is, Julian Edlow on the Gambler Hotline. Yeah, that was a hell of a combination, as he said.
You think a drug test is coming Stephon Diggs' way?
What was he thinking?
Well, he wasn't thinking. He was on video.
Thinking, yeah, that's right. I do have Vrabel's take on it.
He handled it exactly how you should.
Yeah.
I'm going to Miami tomorrow. That's just a side note. I don't think I'm going to say anything else.
Are you trying to find
I'm going to be on a boat on Saturday.
Are you going to be on a boat?
I am going to be on a boat.
The boys got a boat?
The boys got a boat.
Wait,
a lot of people.
Is this a bachelor party or birthday party?
I'm too young for a bachelor party. It's a birthday party. It's a gathering. I have a friend who lives down there. It's his birthday, and a bunch of us are going down. And we know a lot of people who are from the area who went to school around there. So there'll be a lot of people on the boat, probably 40 plus people on the boat.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the boat cost per person?
Per person, it's only about 150.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
All
but
right.
obviously females don't have to pay.
What's the what's the cruise? What are you looking at? I
didn't set up the boat. I get told what you got to Venmo this.
What time's the boat
it's a
leaving
noon
dock?
boat. You want to fly down? It's a noon boat.
Dude, I wish.
Probably one of the talent that Stephon Diggs had on that boat. But maybe Cardi B will pop out. You never know.
I've never been to Miami.
Never been to Miami?
Never been to Miami.
Seriously, ever been to Florida?
Yeah.
Where in Florida?
Orlando, Clearwater, Fort Lauderdale, Panama City, Key West. Been to Key West a few times, but never have been to Miami.
A good time. I've been too many times, honestly.
Really?
I've been a bunch.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of spring breaks back in the day. Miami's a good time.
I'd love to be on a boat this weekend.
It would be a beautiful, beautiful boat.
Yes, it would be really beautiful, like that throw down to second base as the Phillies are up 5-4 in the top of the
ball
night.
game.
Yeah, it is pretty damn good ball game right there. And the sun is actually shining. I can't believe the sun is out. Or am I seeing things?
No, it looks like it's out.
No tussie over here with a T. With a T. There's
and none on the boat in Miami on Saturday, just so everyone's clear.
Yeah, all right.
Just have
40 people. Yeah, you can't speak for all 40.
Well, was Miami known for that or something?
Yeah, exactly. And also, real quick on this, there's a soundbite on ESPN with Caleb Williams. He was now the focal point more than ever. Wow, we are talking about Caleb Williams way too much, but I understand it. And he was talking about how he wants to steer the ship in the right direction.
Well, I believe this was his first time speaking since that report came out where him and his dad tried really hard to not be drafted by Chicago.
Yeah.
So I think he had to answer some questions.
So he did. You're right. But when you listen to that cut, you almost don't hear the P. It's like, I'm trying to steer this S in the right direction. It was pretty funny. Gary and I forget the other dude's name on Sports there. Those two dudes do a great job. And they were having some fun with that this morning. That was a really good soundbite there. All right, let's keep it moving. 4:00 hour. We got a lot to discuss, including the NFL. I didn't get an opportunity to get to it. We're going to go inside the Insiders NFL edition in the 4:00 hour. We'll continue talking all things NBA basketball. Sam, we also have a college basketball conversation to get into, sir.
We do? Oh, yeah, we do.
They are going to expand March Madness. The tournament is going to expand. Like 100%, this is going to happen.
It was always inevitable.
Is it a good thing, though? And I will give you the reasons why, and it's really interesting. It definitely has me saying that, you know what? This is a good thing after it's all said and done, and that's not what I was saying earlier today when that report came out. But we'll give you all the details on the other side of the daily ticket. I can't talk for some reason today. I apologize. 5:00 hour, football is king. With Ryan Beef Coyle and Nick McClay right here on The Gambler. More after this.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it. Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 to learn more. With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers, plus taxes, fees, and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us, plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
CEOs you should know, brought to you by Comcast Business. Jennifer Lawson, President and CEO of Keep America Beautiful.
We believe that everyone deserves to live in a clean, healthy, and beautiful community. And for us, that means engaging people in opportunities to help clean up their community, to make decisions about how and where work needs to be done in their community, to improve recycling rates, to improve education around the importance of not littering. And then the whole green side of the equation, which for us is about tree planting and flowering flowers, and the power of beauty to improve health, drive action, and really help people get inspired and to love where they live.
And how do you do that?
Through a network of 750 affiliates across the country, we help communities manage litter in their towns. We organize volunteers for litter cleanups. We host recycling events. We provide recycling education, litter education, and then we help plant trees and flowers in parks and oftentimes in private streets and areas responding to disasters. You can learn more about Keep America Beautiful at www.kab.org, and you can find all our social channels there. We're across all the normal platforms, and we welcome your engagement.
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
If you have a lot of shopping to do for summer, then you're actually in luck. Because at Macy's, the latest designer trends are here now. From swim and sandals to match sets and linen suits, all for 20% off. But get this, spend $100 and get 25% off. Spend $200 and get 30% off. 30%. So the bigger your summer, the better. Because the more you buy, the more you save. But hurry, it all ends Sunday at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Hurry in to DQ for their sauced and tossed chicken strip baskets with flavor from the top, bottom, and everywhere in between. Try them today in Honey Barbecue or New Buffalo, only at DQ. Happy tastes good, only at participating Dairy Queen locations.
Hey, this is Lincoln Kennedy. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Mercedes-Benz.
The Phillies are closing out their set against Atlanta with a doubleheader after they were rained out yesterday. Zach Wheeler takes the ball in the nightcap. Eagles edge rusher Bryce Huff hasn't attended any of the team's offseason workouts, with at least one report indicating the team's holding him out for a possible trade. And demand for tickets to the NFL's International Series games caused Ticketmaster's system to crash shortly after they went on sale this morning. I'm Scott Davidson.
The Mercedes-Benz Dream Days are back with offers on vehicles like the 2025 E-Class, CLE Coupe, C-Class, and EQE Sedan. Hurry in now through July 31st. Visit your local authorized dealer or learn more at mbusa.com/dream.
It's the Daily Ticket with Sean Brace, 3 to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday.
You know, there's just something about Phillies versus Braves that always hits different for me. Maybe it's the 2 decades of Atlanta dominance burned into my brain, or maybe it's just the fresh sting of recent battles. Either way, when the Braves roll into town, it feels like a big series, regardless of records. This series, it's got the goods. Spencer Strider, he's towing the rubber in Game 1. Ronald Acuna Jr. is back in the lineup. And the Phillies, yeah, they're one of the hottest teams in baseball, returning home after winning 9 straight. Yes, I know they lost that last game, but still, folks, we got big names, big energy, big vibes at Citizens Bank Park. And if you got a ticket, consider yourself lucky. You're walking into a great series between the Braves and Phillies.
If you can wager on it, we're talking about it right here on The Gambler.
My station, baby.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
We're jetting up on the Schuylkill westbound, Bear Pass Divine Expressway and Boulevard to Belmont. Eastbound, Stop-and-Go Boulevard to South. 95 southbound heavy Cottman Bridge and Jan approaching 420 to 320 with a crash in the left lane. All right, to tell it, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores.
People always say, Ryan, why don't you take it easy? Relax a little bit. Well, that's what the Staples Easy button is for. Just press it for quality products, friendly experts, and services like print, travel, or shipping, because we can't do it all. All right, guys? Thanks, Staples. That was easy.
Roots Picnic is back May 31st and June 1st at the Man in Fairmount Park in Philadelphia.
Hold on, wait a minute.
D'Angelo, Lenny Kravitz, Meek Mill, The Roots, Glorilla, Miguel, Thames, Kaytranada, Lotto, Music Soul Child, Jay-Z, 2 Chainz, and many more. For tickets and info, head to rootspicnic.com. Presented in partnership with Live Nation Urban.
Camping is such an adventure. I love how there's a surprise around every corner. Except when I'm surprised with a sudden allergy attack. Luckily, I've got Claritin D to attack back. And I didn't even need a prescription for this.
Get fast, powerful relief from your worst symptoms, like nasal congestion. It's so fast, it starts working in as little as 30 minutes.
Now, I can enjoy sleeping under the stars instead of sneezing under them.
Claritin Clears. Use as directed.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-729-4040. 800-729-4040. 800-729-4040.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV, RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the lake or clean out your closet?
RV wins!
Putting the dishes away or taking the RV camping?
RV wins!
Cleaning the fridge or taking a trip to the beach?
RV wins! You might want to clean the fridge real quick because, mold.
We clean out the fridge, then take the RV out.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
And how about that, sports fans? The Phillies take game 2 against the Braves here. Game 1 today. Game 2 of the series. Of course, it got rained out yesterday, so the Phillies are playing 2. Game 1 in the books. I know it was really confusing. Sorry about that. Game 1 in the books. Phillies went 5-4. Bases loaded. Got a little dicey there in the 9th, Sam, but Jordan Romano gets the job done, and Phil's 2 straight against the Braves in a big series against their NL East competition there, because I'll tell you what, man, the Braves are a team that you just expect to put it together, expect to start, finding ways to come up with the big base hit, getting better pitching, so on and so forth. They've been dealing with the injury bug. Acuna gets hurt. Of course, he's just back now. Strider returns, then he gets dinged up. He had to spend some time, I believe, back on the DL. He made his 3rd start. We saw that 2 nights ago against the Phils, so I expect him to be pitching better down the stretch here, or over the summer, as it's only May 29th here. But that's a big win, man. That's a big win. And as I said 2 nights ago on the show, when the Braves are in town, when the Phillies go to Atlanta, that's a series that gets my attention regardless of the records. Regardless.
100%. That's a nice series win over Atlanta. Always nice over a division rival. Take a 9.5 game lead in the NL East over them. Still up 2 games on the Mets. Nick Castellanos a 4 for 4 days. Schwarber went yard. Some good bullpen production. Always nice to get a series win over the Braves. And the what do you call the last game of a series when it's 2-0? It's not the rubber game because that's when it's 1-1. But the last game of the series is coming up in a couple hours.
For the sweep.
Break
out the brooms. Yep. Should we break out the brooms? I'm going to tweet that now. We were just talking a little bit about Pat McAfee during the break there, as we were wondering whether or not he would make the trip to the Garden. That does seem like a Pat McAfee type of thing to do.
Yes. But number one, he said he won't pay for the seats. So it's like, why would the Pacers, or why would the Knicks pay for his own seats, which is reasonable. It's also like, the guy is so busy. Like, does he really want to go fly to New York on private and then fly back on private for one night and then wake up and do the show the next day?
Yes.
But it's not like he's going to be a star of the show. They're not going to show him on the broadcast. They're definitely not giving him a mic at MSG.
No.
He'll just be booed. Like, he'll just be booed by the fans, and that'll be it.
Let me spend $70,000 to fly out there and be booed. And oh, by the way, watch Indianapolis possibly lose.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what if they win?
Then that would be big that if he's in the building for that. But he'll probably be at Game 6 on Saturday night that if the Knicks win tonight, which is a potential clincher at home for Indiana. So I don't blame them for not going.
Yeah, see, I don't know where you are on that. What is your take on tonight's game? Did you give us a play? Are you riding with this going back to Indiana?
I think the Knicks win.
Okay.
And there's a lot of trends that are going against the Pacers. Let's start with teams up 3-1 on the road in the conference finals are 9-18 all time. Teams up 3-1 in general in the playoffs on the road are 14-38 straight up and 21-31 against the spread. So teams up 3-1 who will have to go on the road, not good sign for them. And that's exactly what the Pacers, the position they're in right now. Teams up, they're up 3-1 over the Knicks, playing at MSG, where they've obviously had a lot of success. And the Knicks have struggled at home during certain moments this postseason. Still, I think the Knicks are going to win. I think this is going to go 6. I think there's a chance it still goes 7 and the Pacers win in 7 back in MSG. But I think the Knicks take it tonight. Look, this is a Knicks team. 3 of their last 5 wins.
7?
3 of their last 5 wins they've come back from 20 or more points.
That's true.
Like, that's pretty remarkable comebacks. This team, when their back is against the wall, is when they're at their best. When nobody believes in them, that's when they're at their best.
This is my issue with what you're saying right now, and everybody's doing it. You're not alone. We're not giving the Pacers the proper credit.
No, I am. I absolutely am. The Pacers are the better team.
The
Pacers prove that they have the strength.
Ball movement. They look like
100%.
they look like the Hoosiers, right? That's what they look like. We're going to pass the ball 5 times. Gene Hackman, rest in peace. That's what they look like out there.
And I'm giving them all the credit in the world. This is
Halliburton
a really
did something that's never happened in NBA history.
This is a really fun team. It's a really fun team. But they're also playing a really good team in the Knicks. Like, it's not this team, if the Pacers somehow win in 5 games and wrap it up tonight, the difference between these two teams' talent is not a 5-game series. It's just not either way. And that's why originally I'd go in 7 if I have Knicks in 7, but I still thought it was going to go 7 because I thought these teams were really evenly matched, which is why I don't think it's really possible for the Knicks to come back, because playing a team that you're evenly matched against and winning 3 straight against them is pretty challenging. It's pretty unlikely, but I'm giving the Pacers all the credit in the world. Again, their offense is phenomenal. What Tyrese Halliburton's done is phenomenal, but the Knicks their backs are against the wall. That's when they've come up big.
All right, backs against the wall and back over to the diamond. Chris Sale getting the start in game 2 this evening, 6:45 first pitch. Zach Wheeler on the mound for the Titans. And right now, DraftKings Sportsbook showing the Phillies -115 favorites here, -105 for Sale. 7.5, a low number of 7.5 there, understood, with both of those pitches going in the game. I have to like the Phils to get the sweep. I do. We'll see what the lineups look like, but judging from afar right now, of course, I would say that the Phillies are going to find a way to win another game here, a tough battle, and Zach Wheeler is the better pitcher in my mind. I know Sale had a great season last year, but give me Wheeler right now. Give me Wheeler. He's been incredible this season.
I believe there's 11 of the last 12 the Phillies have won. They had won 9 in a row.
Correct.
And they lost to the A's.
Correct.
Now they have 2 against the Braves.
That's good math.
That's pretty good math. That's 11 out of 12. That's pretty impressive. These bats are hot right now. We have to see who's on the mound, of course, but I think the Phillies could easily get the sweep tonight.
I agree with that. All right. So we will be talking a little bit more about the Phillies and Braves as soon as we get those lineups. As I said, first pitch coming up at 6:45. Couple more that I have for you. I always love getting Sam in studio here on a Thursday, especially when we get some juicy topics to mix in here.
What we got?
On May the 29th. We are in that middle area. We are inching closer into the world of, as Cowherd was talking about it today, ranking quarterbacks.
Yep.
And I heard him talking about Jalen Hurts and, how he is very lucky to play with Howie Roseman, XYZ. We're talking about Super Bowls versus, Marino was brought up. That's when
It's almost Mount Rushmore season.
Yeah, it's almost Mount Rushmore season. Correct. All right. But here's where I'm at with the NBA, getting back over to the NBA and Shams. Speaking of McAfee, he hopped on McAfee's show yesterday, and he said that he believes that this offseason, NBA free agency will be at an all-time high. He thinks that this is going to be the craziest offseason ever, Shams said. Quote. Cowherd, speaking of him as well, he believes that is incorrect because free agency is dead. Now, he gave a couple reasons why he believes free agency is dead. I don't know if you agree with any of that, whatever. But focusing on Shams here and why he believes that this could be the craziest NBA offseason ever, is it all revolving around Giannis?
Yeah, partly. Free agency is dead, but NBA transactions are far from dead. Players, all-time great players, just don't get to free agency anymore. You don't have the days where LeBron James is making his decision in front of a live audience.
Which is a good thing.
You don't
right?
have the days. That was a good thing, or now it's a good thing that's not happening?
Well, it's a good thing it's not happening because these players are staying with the franchises.
Well, no, that's not happening either. What you're seeing is now players aren't getting to free agency where they're asking out before they can even get to free agency. So you don't have a Kevin Durant. You don't have a Kevin Durant like leaving Oklahoma City Thunder as a free agent and going to the Warriors. If he wants out of Oklahoma City, he's leaving before he even gets the chance that he hits free agency. And that's why you're seeing that. You see that a ton now with Anthony Davis and all these guys who have traded teams and flipped teams. It's not through free agency. It's through requesting out and trades. And that's why this has the chance to be a crazy offseason acquisition period. But free agency in of itself is dead. There's not a lot of marquee names who are free agents, but there's a lot of marquee names who could become available via trade. And that starts with Giannis Antetokounmpo, who will be the first domino to fall, and everything will follow him and follow the move that he makes. Because when it becomes official that the Bucks are listening to trade offers and are going to trade him, all 29 teams should be calling Milwaukee Bucks, because a player like this does not become available this often. And when that happens and he eventually gets moved, then pieces will start to follow. That'll probably be a 3-team deal. Do guys who are traded for him, can those guys get moved? Kind of like we saw with Drew Holiday a couple years ago when he was in the Damian Lillard deal. He went to Portland, and then he was rerouted to Boston. And then Boston won a championship because they got Drew Holiday. After Giannis goes, what happens with Kevin Durant? He's probably not going to be his son. There's a ton of guys who could become available this offseason, so it will be a crazy offseason period. But free agency, that's dead. That's 100% dead.
Where does Kevin Durant end up?
I think, look, a lot of it depends on Giannis. So if the Houston Rockets aren't a suitor for Giannis, they can probably put the best package together for Giannis. But if for some reason they back off that, then they might be a marquee destination for Kevin Durant. If a team like the Spurs, if they want, if they go after Giannis, then they don't get him, then they might want a Kevin Durant. It also depends about the draft. What do the Spurs do with the number 2 pick? What do the Sixers do with the number 3 pick? There's a lot of dominoes that have to fall, and it really all starts with what's happening with Giannis. And once Giannis goes and people figure out what happens with Giannis, which probably should happen around the draft, then everything else will follow.
Do you think Giannis leaves Milwaukee?
I think so. I mean, it's simply a decision for him. It's, do you want to stay in one place your entire career? Are you that loyal to that franchise that drafted you, took a chance on you, that city that loves you? Or do you want to win another championship? Because there's no pathway to contention for the Bucks. None. Just none. Based on Damian Lillard's injury, based on if they don't control any of their draft picks for the next 5 years, based on their aging roster, they don't have any good young players. There's no pathway to contention if Giannis goes back. But if he does go back, that's him saying, I'm not really worried about winning right now. It's not my top priority. I want to stay with this franchise and maybe it'll work itself out years down the line. And that's his decision to make. If, though, he wants to compete for championships and win another ring, he's leaving 100% because there's no pathway to contention for the Bucks. So that I think he'll probably leave based on that.
What type of package are we talking about getting Giannis or the Milwaukee Bucks will be getting for Giannis? So, when you look at what Bridges fetched, and all love and respect to Michael Bridges, he's not Giannis.
Yeah. And I don't think Giannis, all these guys who've been traded recently, like James Harden's been traded a bunch. Kevin Durant has been traded the last few years. Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic even was traded. All these big time talents, none of them come close to Giannis right now, who's a top 3 player in the league and has been a top 3 player in the league the last 5 years.
Points per game in postseason, led the league in playoffs.
Yep. He was brilliant throughout the regular season too. Probably had one of his best regular seasons. So what's the package? It's a lot of picks and it's a lot of young players. And if you're someone like the Rockets, which they have a ton of picks to offer the Bucks, but they also have guys like Terry Eason. They have guys like Alperen Sengun, young, good players who can make the Bucks contend, not contend, but be a solid, relevant team immediately. Because the Bucks, again, they can't enter a full tank because they don't control their own picks. So they need to, figure out a way to get back some of their picks, and B, get young talent and other teams' picks who aren't going to be very good over the next few years. So that's how they're going to have to retool because they can't really go full-on rebuild. So the package is a lot of picks and a lot of good young players, and that's why the Rockets are the number one suitor because they can offer a package better than anybody.
If you're Giannis, do you want to end up in Houston? Would you prefer to end up in San Antonio? Would you prefer to end up in Boston if possible?
No state tax in Texas,
Ooh.
Which could be a consideration. Also, from my perspective, if I'm Giannis, I want to stay in the East because the East is wide open. And what we're seeing right now with the Knicks, Pacers, Eastern Conference Finals, the East is wide open. The West is incredibly crowded. It's only getting better. Cooper Flagg's going out west. Victor Wembanyama's out west. This Thunder team is going to be good for a really long time. Nikola Jokic, the best player in the world, is out west. All the best talent and the best teams are in the West. So it's going to be harder than ever to make a finals and win a finals being in the West as opposed to the East, where it's like you don't know what's going on with the Sixers. They could have a good future. They could have a bleak future. It's hard to know. The Celtics obviously are going to look very different. Next year is going to be a wash for them. The Cavs should be a good team. The Pistons are up and coming, but there's a lot of uncertainty with a lot of these teams, and the East is just way weaker. So if I'm Giannis, I want to go East. So where are the teams in the East? You can look at the Nets, but the problem is the Nets don't have any other stars to pair Giannis with, and they're not a roster that can contend right now. You can look at teams like the Knicks, who could be in contention for Giannis. There's other teams that he can look at across the East. It makes, in terms of the package the Bucks would want back, it makes the most sense if it's the Spurs or the Rockets. But if I'm Giannis, I'd rather go to the East than the West.
All right. Well, like I said, you got Shams out there pumping it up, and we understand he's an NBA insider, so he's definitely going to try and stir it up a little bit.
I mean, July and late June is the best time of the year for the NBA. It's better when the actual games are being played.
It's probably reality of it, right? You know, that gets more discussion with the drama. And the NBA Finals that features Oklahoma City and the Pacers, I would imagine the ratings aren't going to be all that great. Let's just put it that way. We'll see, though. Who cares about ratings? I just want to be entertained. But
yeah, I commented on someone's tweet, this NBA guy's tweet, and I've still just been getting flamed on Twitter the last like 24 hours.
Because you are excited about the finals?
Because I said, my comment was that so the tweet was, Pacers making the finals would be good for the NBA. Smaller market, didn't tank, fun brand of basketball. At some point, the league has to figure out how to market these stories more effectively. And so I said, I don't disagree. Like, as a big NBA guy, like, I'm watching the NBA no matter who's in the finals. I'm watching in the regular season no matter what.
Yeah.
So as an NBA guy, I believe it's good for the league if it's small market teams. But if you're actually the league and the ratings aren't good between two small market teams, how is that good? And everyone's been flaming me, saying that the NBA shouldn't care if it's small market teams. We shouldn't care if it's small market teams, but they should, because if the ratings aren't good, that's a problem for the NBA. It doesn't matter how you market them, and it's not so much about the small market; it's more about the stars. And more parity that the NBA is getting leads to lower rated finals because it's hard for teams to make the finals year in and year out. So it's not really good for the NBA that, even though they've preached parity, it's not actually good for the bottom line and the ratings and popularity. So it's kind of a conundrum they're in, but I don't really get why they would want parity. From my perspective, I think it's cool that small markets in it, but the ratings aren't going to be good when it's Pacers Thunder.
Yeah. It's not. And get used to Oklahoma City being in the NBA Finals too, according to a lot of people out there. But we'll see how this one plays out. Once again, game one on Thursday. Who will the Oklahoma City Thunder be facing? Of course, we opened up the show talking about the Knicks and Pacers. We'll continue to hit on that. The Phillies just wrapped up game one of the afternoon with a 5-4 victory. Kyle Schwarber went yard, hit his 10th home run in the month of May. That is the most home runs in May by a Philly since Dominic Brown 12 years ago. What a run that was by Big Dom Brown. All right, we got a lot to get to. I want to hit on some odds and ends. We still got Inside the NFL Insiders as well coming up. The Daily Ticket, we got Sam Oshtry from The Score sitting in as he always does on a Thursday. Do not go anywhere. More Daily Ticket after this.
The city.
Las Vegas.
Vegas, make some noise!
The event.
Our legendary iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Presented by Capital One.
Live. Welcome. One stage.
2 nights. The biggest stars in music return this September.
To make history.
The world's biggest artists are taking this stage.
Stream live only on Hulu.
I said, woo!
Listen right here as the star-studded lineup is revealed.
Tuesday morning
at 8.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Phillies playing a doubleheader in volume from the first game, hitting the roadways now. That game's over. We're jammed up on 95 northbound, Gerard Point Bridge, the Walt Whitman, and Allegheny up the bridge. Southbound backed up Coppin to Bridge, then jammed Bartram 320 with a crash on the shoulder. Blue Ridge northbound stacked up 95 to Route 1, southbound delays Broomall to Media Southport. Westbound Schuylkill crawling Vare to the Vine Expressway and Boulevard to Belmont. Eastbound heavy Blue Route to Belmont and jam Boulevard to South. To tell a total traffic.
This report is sponsored by eBay. Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at the prices you'll love. eBay. Things people love.
Stay tuned to Fox PHL The Gambler for the latest CEOs you should know. We highlight Jennifer Lawson, President and CEO of Keep America Beautiful. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
You want to see basketball played the way it's supposed to be? Well, check out Ice Cube's Big Three all summer long. Fast, physical, and fun. Catch the best professional 3-on-3 players in the world live every weekend on CBS and Vice.
The riveting podcast, What Happened to Talina Czar, unravels the chilling mystery surrounding a woman's disappearance during the COVID-19 lockdown, the internet sleuths who wouldn't let it go, and the dark subcultures and betrayals they unearthed.
There were a lot of secrets that were very hard to find.
Listen to What Happened to Talina Czar on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Follow What Happened to Talina Czar and start listening on the free iHeartRadio app today.
Do you own or manage a business here in Philadelphia? Are you unsure where to start when it comes to advertising? Well, here's a surprise. Fox Sports The Gambler, your local iHeart station, is the one place you can get it all. Hey, it's Sean Brace, and we can help with everything from radio and podcast ads to social media and digital. And we can even get local voices like mine spreading the word about your business. So if you're looking for someone to take care of it all, do yourself a favor right now. Call 844-844-iHeart or visit iHeartAdvertising.com today.
The following heartwarming yet informative scene is brought to you by Trust and Will.
Son, your grandpa and I used to work on this car together. And when I'm gone, I want you to have it.
Wow. Thanks, Dad. Doesn't count. What you need is a will. Luckily, Trust and Will makes it easy. Designed by attorneys, but customized by you, you can easily create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. Now, let's let the engine do the talking, am I right? Start your will at trustandwill.com. Use offer code MARK for 10% off and make it count. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. For details, see trustandwill.com.
Rita's is making waves with new Kool-Aid Sharkleberry Thin Ice.
Oh, yeah!
With a fun mix of tropical fruit flavor in every bite, it's the must-try treat of the summer. Don't wait. Try Kool-Aid Sharkleberry Thin Ice at Rita's today.
Camping is such an adventure. I love how there's a surprise around every corner. Except when I'm surprised with a sudden allergy attack. Luckily, I've got Claritin D to attack back. And I didn't even need a prescription for this.
Get fast, powerful relief from your worst symptoms, like nasal congestion. It's so fast, it starts working in as little as 30 minutes.
Now, I can enjoy sleeping under the stars instead of sneezing under them.
Claritin clears. Use as directed.
Another checkup? Why are so many people getting new puppies?
Dr. Kim's veterinary office is littered with cuteness.
We are booked solid for weeks, but who can say no to a puppy, right? Oh, who's your good boy? Oh, who's what? Oh,
She needs to find extra vet techs to get those pups some extra love.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com. Yeah, we're having some fun here. Sam Oshtry from The Score. Sean Brace with you here. Phillies just won game 1, 5-4 over the Atlanta Braves. And are rolling. Game 2 coming up, 6:45. Great pitching matchup. Wheeler versus Chris Sale. Phillies are a little bit of a favorite. We'll talk more about that game. Once again, DraftKings Sportsbook, -115 favorites here. -105 for Chris Sale. 7.5 is your total on that one. We were having some fun as far as college football. Look, it's 98 days away from the Eagles and the Cowboys. I know that date. I also know that college football kicks off a week or so earlier before that game. So we are, probably about 90 days away from college football, if not even less. But Penn State and Villanova will be matching up again this season.
Two powerhouses.
Let's go. Now that matchup took place 2 seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And Penn State's a tough team. You're talking about the overall number 1 ranked team right now at some places. A lot of expectations. But, we are partnering up with our friends over at TickPick, Sam. So I checked out what TickPick had to say about that price. And they got some great offers right now. TickPick.com. So Penn State just released the times of the first 4 games of the season. And I believe the 4th game of the year for Penn State will be taking on Villanova. Of course, you can catch that game right here on the Gambler, home of Villanova football and basketball. The game being played at Beaver Stadium on September 13th. $46. I can get in the house, get in the stadium for Penn State and Villanova, courtesy at TickPick.com.
That's a great deal. Check out Beaver Stadium down State College.
TickPick. Download the app now. Trust me, you're not going to use anybody else. They give you the best rates out there. No added fees, so on and so forth. TickPick.com. Also, during the commercial break, I am just a sucker, Sam. When I drive by Rita's, I have to stop. I have to stop in. There's nothing better. Nothing like when it comes to tasty treats in the summertime. Sure, when you hear the ice cream truck coming around, it gets your attention, right? Like what was it, Pavlov's dog, right? You hear the bell, the bell hit, and you're like, well, Rita's is the same thing for me. I drive by a Rita's and I just heard the commercial. I might have to hit one up a little bit later today because I got to try that Sharkleberry one that they have going on right now with Kool-Aid. I'm a sucker for the red Kool-Aid flavor. I love it. So I had Rita's over the weekend. Of course, when you have a kid, it's easy. You want to go to Rita's? Sure. So I get the nice little small one, perfect size for my daughter Kendall. Rita's, make sure you're checking out what they have to offer. They're always mixing it up. And make sure you check them out at ritazice.com for a location near you. Any ice cream? Are you an ice cream guy?
I'm actually not an ice cream guy. I'm a water ice guy, which is why Rita's is for me. I love me some Rita's. Mm-hmm. So I don't eat ice cream, but I eat water ice during the summer. And it's great. I love the root beer and lemon combination.
Yeah.
The best for
Rita's. It's perfect.
The best.
It's perfect. Yeah. I actually had the cherry and lemon over the weekend. That's what I learned. Yeah.
Lemon, you can never go wrong with lemon water.
No, it's a perfect. It's a it's a nice combination. It cleans the palate, right? Not too overpowering. Mm-hmm. You can mix it in with the cherry. You can mix it in with all the flavors, like you were saying, a blueberry, all that. That's my daughter's go-to, blue raspberry. Wife is mango gelati.
Nice.
It's just a state. I order 3, bring it back, give me the carrier. I'm out.
It'd be nice if the weather flipped a little bit.
Dude, what is going on with this Philadelphia weather?
June already. It's the weather's like overcast, cloudy, rainy still.
Rain tomorrow.
Ridiculous.
Rain tomorrow. Unbelievable.
It's June, man. It's June.
Yeah, we need to heat it up a little bit around here. I'm ready to sweat. And I do know this much. There was sun shining today at Citizens Bank Park. I don't know if it's still shining right now. It looks like it is outside. We don't have windows in the studio. But like I said, man, I'm happy that they're able to get these games in because I was a little worried there because there was definitely rain on the horizon over the next 4 days after that game was canceled last night. So I was worried about today. So it's good that they're able to get that in. With that being said, like I said, game 2 coming up, 6:45, first pitch. Zach Wheeler versus Chris Sale this evening. NBA basketball rolls on. We shall see if we have another team in the NBA Finals. We opened up the show talking about how dominant the Oklahoma City Thunder have been all season long. And, of course, what they showed us last night with a lumping of the Minnesota Timberwolves and just destroying them 124-94. And, honestly, I think the final score made it even a little closer than what the game really was. It was just a blowout from start to finish. The big story, though, I would say from the NBA world right now is the series price and what they're throwing out there. Oklahoma City Thunder is listed as a -800 favorite versus the Indiana Pacers +550 if the Pacers are able to get there. And to compare and contrast, I bring it back to last year where the Celtics, where everybody had the Celtics winning the NBA Finals, taking on the Dallas Mavericks, a team that was somewhat lucky in some people's eyes to get to where they were. And the Celtics were only like minus 220 favorites to win the NBA Finals. It's just crazy. Like, is Oklahoma City that much better than what the Boston Celtics were? I know it doesn't work like that, but it's interesting to get into that conversation.
Yeah, you do rarely see prices this long for an NBA Finals, even if it is a lopsided matchup, which it is, assuming it's Pacers, Thunder. Really doesn't Thunder, whoever, it'll be a lopsided matchup. But minus 700 is super, super lofty. You don't see that often. I would have thought it'd be more closer to minus 400. I mean, that's what you see for first round series. Like a first round series when it's like a 1-8 or a 2-7. You see a minus 700, minus 800 favorite. So the fact that the Thunder are laying that in the NBA Finals tells you a lot. But again, I can't blame odds makers because the Thunder are that dominant. They're that suffocating defensively. And I can't see the Knicks or Pacers having any chance of beating them.
Yeah, and we were talking to Julian Edlow from DraftKings Sportsbook, get into ways that we can wager on the NBA Finals, even from an Oklahoma City perspective. And that's where you got to go ahead and start digging. And DraftKings has a ton to choose from, whether it's the series spread, series total games, exact games, correct score, so on and so forth. And they will continue to add right here over the next week or so. Too early to get into the NBA Finals MVP. Is it SGA's award to lose? Simple as that.
Yeah. I got to look at what the odds are there.
Minus 575.
Yeah, I mean, it's not worth playing that.
Jalen Williams isn't worth a little flyer at 40-1.
No, like there's really no way the Thunder win that series without SGA averaging the most points per game, leading the team in almost every statistical category, which is really what the voters look at for the Finals MVP. If you're going to play something, I think you'll have to see who their opponent is, and it'd probably be worth playing it on the other side. Like if it's the Knicks, then it's going to be Jalen Brunson if the Knicks somehow pull off an upset, and you're going to get an even better price than you would for the Knicks to win the series. And if it's the Pacers, it'll probably be Tyrese Halliburton, but there's a chance it could be Pascal Siakam. There's a chance it could be an Aaron Nesmith. So it'd probably be worth playing a player on the other side than it would be worth playing another Thunder, because if the Thunder are winning the Finals, it's going to be an SGA series.
All right. Sam covers it all over at The Score. Does a great job. Be sure to follow him on all things socials as well. Back to the college sports world, and we hit on this a little earlier, but I want to bring it back up and get into a bigger discussion because the NCAA president, Charlie Baker, said today, according to Front Office Sports, one of his top priorities is expanding March Madness. Just hearing that, people are already rolling their eyes. People are like, all right, come on, man. How many is too many? He said, quote, that would be the goal to try and do this for next year. So they want to hit the gas pedal immediately on this to go from 72 to 76 teams. Now, from what I understand, and again, I was anti adding to this at all. Now, 68, understood when they did go to 72. I get it. I didn't really like it, but at the end, we understand the almighty dollar controls all. But what they want to do with 76, if I'm not mistaken, is get an extra day, get an extra afternoon of play. And at the end, right? Like, isn't that a good thing? Isn't that, beneficial for us sports fans out there that want March Madness on another day, another afternoon?
I think so. I think people are overreacting like they do to change. Like that's what we do as a society, and definitely as a sports society, is we overreact to change, even if it's minuscule change. Like when you see a score bug switch on TV from one score bug to another, everyone freaks out on the timeline. 68 to 72 teams is not that big of a deal. Let's just call it how it is. It's really not. Like, I think people freaked out in 2011 when it was changed from 64 to 68. And guess what? Has it changed the fabric of March Madness? Absolutely not. No. I think if you go massive expansion, like a 68 to an 80 something, or I remember it was like 60, they were talking about 100 plus at one point a couple years ago, that would be drastic and that would be ridiculous. And just, that would be unacceptable, frankly, because you would change the fabric of the tournament. 68 teams to 72 teams are getting a few more games out of it. And for the NCAA's purposes, they're doing it for their pocketbooks. I mean, just more games, more ad revenue, more TV revenue, more money, all that stuff. So you get it from the NCAA's perspective. Expanding 4 teams is not that big of a deal. It's not going to change the fabric of the tournament. I don't really see value in it from a fan and a consumer perspective. Like the NCAA tournament is perfect how it is. Why switch something? Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But you got to look at it from the NCAA tournament's perspective or the NCAA's perspective, where they want more money. And if they can get more money out of a few more games, adding 4 more teams is not going to change the entire tournament. So everyone needs to kind of take a deep breath. Everyone's going to watch it still. Everyone's going to enjoy it still. And it won't be that big of a deal if they just add a few more teams to this tournament.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I get it. Everybody wants to freak out and be upset and, oh, come on. But when it comes to March, that first week, we're not going to be saying anything other than where is the nearest television?
Exactly.
And give me a beer. Look, and change is going to happen in college sports across the board. Switching gears and get on over to the football side of things. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that their plan is to bump it to 16 teams from the original 12-team playoff that we just had.
Is that this year or is that going to be in the future?
I don't think it can be this upcoming season. I think it's going to be the next year. I don't think they can hit the gas pedal like that to go to 16, but who knows?
Well, the one change they did make for this year, which was the right change, it's the Boise State rule, is that they're seeding it 1 through 12, assuming it's going to be 12, just based on the ranking. Instead of conference champion winners are going to be seeded 1 through 4, and the rest are seeded 5 through 12, which was the right move because Boise State should not have been a 4 seed in this past tournament. So that's the right move. That's what everyone knew was going to happen after the first year of the 12-team tournament. Didn't work out as it should have based on that seeding. So that's the right move, and I think that's going to work out well moving forward.
I agree with that, and that's the change that I would like. I just was talking about this on Tuesday where I was saying, look, Lane Kiffin came out yesterday, and if you're wondering where all this conversation is coming from in college sports, you got the press conferences going on, the conference press conferences that are happening.
SEC was yesterday.
Yeah, so all
the
these
SEC coaches are speaking. It's going to be a newsworthy cycle.
Lane Kiffin he doesn't want to see automatic bids. He doesn't want to see that. He said, you know what?
That's because his team would have been it without that automatic bid. But he doesn't deserve any benefit of doubt because his team should have been in, and they sold a few games down the stretch.
And what I would say is, I think it's difficult because you have to find a way that it's like uniform every single season, in my opinion, one man's take, that these big conferences are represented. They are always going to be better, and if the level of competition is so much better in the SEC and in the Big Ten versus other conferences, we have to realize that and be fair about it. So I am fine with the 4 and 4 from the Big Ten and from the SEC if that's what they choose to do. However, I think that they need to expand it and maybe even look at going more than 16.
But how much is too much? Because
I know
then it becomes just oversaturated with middling teams that don't have a right to be in there. You're going to have more blowouts, and that's just not going to be a good product. So I think 12 is actually a perfect amount.
But 4 and 4 from 2 conferences. And that doesn't mean that that's all they're getting. That means, okay, they're locked in with 4. Potentially, you could get 5 from the SEC, so on and so forth.
But I think they deserve it. I think the Big Ten, SEC are the best conferences year after year. So I think they deserve to each have 4 teams apiece.
But you don't think
go from there.
You don't see the ACC getting better?
Getting better?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. All the money is with the SEC and the Big Ten. I don't see any pathway the ACC is getting better unless Jordan Hudson is running the program over there in UNC and she's bringing in some recruits. That's the only way the ACC is getting better. All the money is with the SEC and the Big Ten.
She's on the sideline.
Those 2 teams, she's calling the defense.
Calling the plays, yeah.
Those 2 conferences can continue to get better because all the money's with them and they're continuing to expand. And with NIL and everything, how much they can pay their players, the revenue sharing is going to come with that. It's just going to help those 2 conferences. So eventually what those 2 conferences want is just an ACC and Big Ten invitational. I don't think that's good for the sport. I don't think you should completely eliminate the Boise States of the world from the Mountain West or the ACC teams like Clemson. So I want to incorporate those aspects while also putting the best teams in there. And those best teams come from the Big Ten and the SEC. So I think that's a reasonable approach to have at least 4 of those teams from each conference and then fill it out with maybe some other Big Ten or SEC teams if they're deserved and worthy of it, or some Mountain West teams, some other conference teams.
Yeah. Again, I'm all about more football, more games, the better. And I realize a lot of people are like, all these blowouts, doesn't matter. For my money, I'm sitting down, I'm enjoying it. Probably find a wager or 2 on it. Again, Penn State, Boise State, we were watching that game. Right? It was Penn State, Boise State, wasn't it? Yeah. I get it. Some of these games weren't the best games, all good. And I think with the reseeding or the way that they have changed things, I think that's going to help out competition. I don't know if 16 is enough. I think they might need to expand it. Maybe not 1AA, 24 or 26, whatever they have, but 16 plus, I think they might end up doing a little bit more than that. We'll see. I know that the ultimate goal right now is to get to 16 teams.
I mean, I will say, if you look at last year and you put 16 teams in, you got Alabama in.
Yep.
You got Ole Miss in.
Yep.
You got South Carolina in.
Yep.
Like, that's pretty electric, especially how those seasons finished and how those teams were, where they were worthy of being in the 12. They just lost some crucial games late, and in South Carolina's case, early, that knocked them out of it. But that's pretty electric if you have 3 of those SEC type schools that have really good teams and could make runs in a tournament like setting. So I get it from both perspectives. For me, it's just like, it's usually when you try to tweak it and add more and more and more, it doesn't really work out.
All right. A little all over the place here on a Thursday, having some fun with Sam from The Score sitting in. Of course, we talked all things NBA to open up, but over to the NFL. Speaking of press conferences that are happening in the world of college sports, NFL, we have OTAs, players that are missing, veterans that aren't there. Kirk Cousins is missing from OTAs down in Atlanta. And
Stephon Diggs at OTAs?
Diggs didn't make this week. He was at last week. He showed up, made a great appearance. Hello, everybody.
You can only do so much time in Foxborough. You got to get yourself to MIA.
That's it. One from Inside the Insiders here, Jordan Renan from ESPN covers the Giants. Abdul Carter, speaking of Penn State, he will wear 51, jersey number 51 for the Giants. And of course, we were hearing some word out there that he hit up Lawrence Taylor to get 56. And it brings to a bigger conversation where you are seeing these things happening more and more. And these old school players that have their jerseys retired are like, you know what? I don't care if he wants to wear my number. That's fine. Now, not all of the guys that have their jerseys retired I would say that, but there are some out there. I just want to say this. If the number is retired and you are a franchise, you cannot allow somebody else to wear it. Like, stick to your guns. I'll give you a perfect example, Sam. I hate when people make a decision and then decide a week later, or maybe this case, 20 years later, that they want to change their mind. White Marsh Township is now back having their 4th of July parade. Sam, they canceled it 3 weeks ago for whatever reason it was. And I'm on the outskirts of White Marsh, whatever. I don't really care. You want to cancel parade, whatever.
Why'd they cancel it?
They canceled it basically because the chief of police was having a little gut feeling about everything that's going on in the world. And look, there is a lot of recklessness, a lot of people that are out of control, a lot of bad things that are happening, no doubt about it. But out of fear, essentially.
That's no way to live.
You can't live like that.
That's no way to live.
None whatsoever.
That's the woke getting to him.
So then all of a sudden he comes out there and they have the supervisors. There's 5 supervisors that I believe voted on it. All 5 of them going off of what the chief of police said, voted no. All right, we're going to cancel the parade. We're like, yeah, chief of police comes to you and says, I don't think we should have this. I'm probably going to listen to the chief of police if I have to vote. Understood. Anyways, my point is this. They made the decision to cancel it. Then all of a sudden, everybody's losing their mind, as you should expect. You're canceling a 4th of July parade that's happened for years, for decades, because of a gut feeling. So now they're wondering, is there a real presence of something happening here? Why aren't you telling us? Oh, there's not, but you're canceling it just because of gut feeling. Now all of a sudden it's back on.
That's awful PR by the
terrible
White Marsh Township over there. That's why I head all over to Lower Merion, Narberth July 4th parade. Shout out them. They do a great July 4th parade every single year.
Right in Conshohocken, we have a good one too.
Oh, you have one in Conchie too?
Yeah.
Everyone has a nice July 4th parade. Why are you canceling a July 4th parade? The fireworks, it's you have to celebrate the times you can celebrate in your life, and holidays like that's probably the best holiday of the year, July 4th. How could you ever cancel something because of a gut feeling because of the things you hear in the news? That's just fear mongering getting to you. That's an awful way to live.
He referenced the parade in Chicago where there was an incident
a couple years ago.
Yep.
That's a major city.
He brought up 3. Yeah, I know, exactly. And then now, like in the back of my mind, now you put a little bit of a target on this parade.
100%.
Right? I'm like, you made this even worse.
Now I wouldn't even go to that parade. Like, I'd go to Conshohocken or Lower Merion or Narberth parade.
That's it.
I mean, I'll be down the shore, but for anyone here.
Who does a good 4th of July party down the shore?
I haven't been to parade in a long time, but I get after it on the July 4th as per usual. But the beach, the fireworks on the beach, any beach, you want to go to Avalon, Seattle,
Yeah,
Margate,
they do fireworks
Ventnor,
down there?
AC, any beach down
I
the
don't
shore.
think I've ever
Beautiful
done
fireworks.
4th of July down the shore. I can't remember if I have.
Last year I was at HQ too. You ever been there?
Oh yeah, that's a good time.
It's a good time. Yeah, it's a great time.
Sam is still recovering from Memorial Day
I am.
weekend down the shore,
I
where
am.
he's hanging with Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, he was hanging with all the Jersey Shore.
Speaking of inside the insiders, he was lined up on the outside at the other cornerback opposed Quinyon Mitchell, which is a great thing to read, to hear, to see. You got to get him out on the field as much as possible. Defensive Player of the Year listed both Coop and Quinyon, 50-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Cooper's a little too eventful of an offseason for me. But Quinyon,
he's a stud.
He is. He's awesome. Quinyon, I mean, it's a really young secondary, really young. And they're banking on them after they lost a lot of defensive pieces. I don't know how much they're going to get to the pass, get to the quarterback as much. It's a really young secondary they're going to rely on. But we'll see.
I look at Coop, man. I watched him playing basketball. You see that?
Yeah, he's super athletic.
Throwing dunks down. I think his team won the 3-point competition. He's the chosen one.
He is.
I might have to get a Cooper DeJean jersey.
I don't blame you. I was looking up Cooper DeJean's name. First thing that came up was Cooper DeJean girlfriend. We don't have to go there. How is that the first thing that comes up on Google? I don't care about his girlfriend. I care about his contract, his jersey, his stats, all that stuff. Google, man.
All right. Here's the deal. Once again, Sam does a great job over at The Score. We opened up talking all things NBA. We need a winner before we get out of here, Sam, for tonight's game, whether it's a prop, whether it's a side, whether it's a total. But I do want to put this out here. Raheem Palmer does a great job for FanDuel. He put this tweet out last night with the Oklahoma City Thunder now listed at some shops as high as -800 over the Pacers. It will be the biggest finals favorite since the 2017-18 Warriors were a little bit over 1,000 favorites over the Cleveland Cavaliers. They'd be the second biggest finals favorite over the last 24 years. The Thunder are essentially in Shaq, Kobe, Lakers territory in terms of finals pricing.
I think that says more about the fact of who their opponent is. And look, this Thunder team, like we talked about, they're historically great defensively, historically great net rating. They're not going to lose, but I do think that says something about their opponent. They obviously would be favored over the Celtics and even over the Cavs, but that would be a way shorter price. It is interesting, like that Warriors team, the Thunder have a better net rating than that Warriors team. I would never consider this Thunder team better than that 2017-2018 Warriors team with Kevin Durant, who was just absolutely unstoppable with Durant. I will say the last time the Thunder were actually in the championship, a lot of people don't remember this. They were favored over the Heat in 2012.
They took game one.
They did. And then I believe they lost four straight.
Yeah.
So they were favored in that series, -175 over the Heat, because LeBron hadn't won a title yet. But this was the big three coming off that finals loss to Dallas the year before. So the Thunder have been here 13 years earlier, and they were favored, but they weren't this substantial favorites. So it's pretty shocking they're this big of favorites. But again, I get it. I get how dominant this team is, and I get their opponent. Either opponent, Knicks or Pacers, will not match up well.
Oh, man, what a fun finals that was. Like that, you could sit there and say you didn't like LeBron, but you were watching. Everybody watched. Everybody tuned in, and that Maverick series was great. I remember watching the LBI. I believe that was Memorial Day weekend.
Wow.
And then
the finals used to be earlier.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then for the OKC series, a guy I used to work with, Joe Eunice, who was the chosen one when it came to sports wagering on the NBA, he said, and I remember it like it was yesterday, he said, Miami will lose game one and they won't lose a game from here on out.
Seriously.
Nailed it.
Wow.
Absolutely nailed it.
Did he bet that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bet it. And I tailed every one of his plays.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good for him.
Did really well on that one. All right, Sam, good for you. What do you got cooking over at The Score, sir?
A lot of NBA stuff. Today, Rote actually went deep on why the Thunder, or excuse me, the potential series prices of the Thunder versus the Pacers versus the Knicks, and why the Knicks would actually have better chances according to the odd makers over the Pacers.
Good question.
So a lot of went deep on that, and just a lot of basketball and NBA stuff as the playoffs continue to wind down.
All right. And then one more, a winner for tonight. Where you go?
Knicks -4.
Knicks, it's up to 4.5.
Still give me 4.5. I think the Knicks actually get a comfortable win, which they rarely do. They won easily a game 6 against the Celtics. Other than that, every single one of their wins this playoffs have been incredibly tight. Going back to that opening series against the Pistons, I think the Knicks actually get a comfortable win. They win by 10 plus tonight over the Pacers, and we're heading back to Indiana for Game 6.
And there's it potentially could be a Game 7. Oh my goodness. I don't want to see that. I don't think I do. I don't think I do.
A Game 7? You want to see a Game 7?
No, because I think the Pacers right now will be able to at least compete with the Oklahoma City Thunder. If they got a 7-game series.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because also the Pacers, the whole thing is depth. Like their whole thing is depth anyway. So even if they had only 2 days rest in between games, it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Drop off into that next 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 player. Like I need the starting 5 to show up against the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I get it. I'm just saying their minutes load isn't that great.
That's true.
So they won't be like that tired. As opposed to the Knicks. If the Knicks get through Game 7 and somehow win in 7 games,
they're toast.
Oh my God, they might get swept.
Yeah, they won't win a game.
They might get swept. And if they even have available players, let's not forget that Cat is not healthy tonight.
No.
He's playing, but he's not healthy. He's a knee contusion. We'll see how that.
And you're still believing that the Knicks get the job done without Cat?
I think they do.
All right.
At home, I think they do.
All right. Well, that's Sam Oshtry. We'll see if he's right. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. Brand new daily ticket at 3 p.m. I'll be live in studio. Hopefully we get a little sunshine in our life. Philly's coming up at 6:45. Again, we'll recap all of that. Got a few members from the Gambler Gang on tomorrow's show. Looking forward to recapping everything for you at 3 p.m. Good luck on all those plays. And if you missed anything, once again, get everything available over at foxphlgambler.com.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon.